Hey, everybody, welcome to Under the Arch Sports. I'm Eric Hobbs, and today we've got a special guest with us. Dani Wexelman is joining the show today. Hey, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely, Eric. I am so excited. I love talking baseball, especially right now. It is the good stuff. So I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, anytime. Yeah, we're going to talk Cardinal baseball, just kind of grading the offseason, what they've done, what they might do, so forth. Before we start, please, guys, check us out on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, on X. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And Dani, just for people who may not be familiar with you, where can they find you? Where do you talk baseball?
Oh yeah, I have a couple spots. So I am on Sirius XM Radio, MLB Network Radio on Sundays, and throughout the week filling in. And then I get to talk baseball in New York for SNY in studio, and then I cover college baseball for ESPN, a little play-by-play and sideline. So all the levels, all the baseball I can get all year long.
There you have it, guys. And you may think, wait a minute, ESPN, SNY, why are we talking, Cardinals with the New Yorker? Well, Dani is, St. Louis, Mizzou alum, all
Yeah.
that. So, in the spirit of hard hitting journalism, we're gonna jump right into this. Where'd you go to high school?
Oh yeah. I have to ask the question. I am a proud Eureka High School alum. Grew up in Wildwood, went to Eureka High School, and as you said, went to Mizzou. So I'm a Missouri girl through and through, and I absolutely grew up watching the Cardinals, idolizing the Cardinals, and I probably wanted to be a part of that team at some point in my life. But yeah, when you're born in St. Louis, it's Cardinals through and through.
Absolutely. Shout out to Eureka Wildwood. That's my parents live out that way off 109.
Yeah.
So yeah, Parkway South alum here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so getting into the Cardinals, just with the moves they've made so far, what's your general impression in terms of all the overhaul, the starting rotation, and the Tyler O'Neill trade?
Well, I think John Mozeliak, the president of baseball ops, had a mission, and he's been very diligent and very aggressive about that mission and knowing what the Cardinals' needs were and knowing that they had a lot of work to do. And that's not easy when you look at the market. So, the market for free agents this year is supply and demand. There are so few top tier pitchers, even second tier pitchers, and there are so many teams that need starting pitchers and not just starters, but they need top of the line starters because I think we're seeing the trend where if you get to October, you need two guys. You got to have almost two aces on your team, which is not that common. And so, not only did the Cardinals need starting pitchers, they needed guys to eat innings. There were so many innings that were lost with Adam Wainwright and Jack Flaherty, etc. But also, you needed guys who know how to compete and guys who know how to win. And so, there were specific boxes. But I think most of all, what I learned throughout this from watching Mo work and then seeing the guys he brought is that he wanted guys who wanted to be in St. Louis, whether it was Gibby, right? Kyle Gibson, who pitched at Mizzou, or Lance Lynn,
Yeah.
who was already here. And clearly, Sonny Gray wanted to be in St. Louis as well. And I think that that speaks volumes. That's going to change so much in that clubhouse as well when you have guys who wanted to be in that city. And they're veteran guys. Sonny Gray, though, is an ace. Sonny Gray is outstanding. I'm a huge fan of his, and I've loved watching his career. This is a guy who continues to adapt, and for him to want to be in the Cardinals organization and win, I think that is a huge deal. That's a huge get for John Mozeliak and the entire front office. And then you add the veteran arms. So I think his goal was to not only add starters, swing and miss stuff, right? We know the Cardinals, that was such a weak point for them last season. Their staff was the one of the worst staffs in all of baseball, especially when it came to swing and miss. And then also he addressed the outfield, as you mentioned, right? There's a logjam out there, and Tyler O'Neill now heading over to Boston, and he'll play with the Red Sox, and the Cardinals got a couple guys back. But I think so far it's been really good, and it's clear that the motivation was there when you have a season like the Cardinals did last year, and you finish the way that you did, and you have guys like Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt on your team, and you're not competing and like at all in any way, shape, or form, something has to change quickly. And I think that that also sparks the fans. And then the fans say, all right, you know what? I see what you're doing. I understand it, Mo. I see the game plan. And so I do feel like he's done a good job. And I think there hopefully might be one or two more moves that are made, but you got to tip your hat to him because it's not easy to do all of that before the end of the year.
Yeah, we've never seen Mo this aggressive with anything really. So clearly they understood the sense of urgency that the team had, and I mean, yeah, it was an embarrassment. I remember from my preseason picks a year ago, I was saying the team I thought had an offense that could win 100 games, and I was afraid the pitching would it was the quality of a 500 team, and turns out that was super generous, which no one saw coming. And that was with the team, as it was. Everyone said, "Wait a minute, this is what you're rolling with," and no one in the fan base, it seemed to me, was very confident in the pitching, and then it was even worse. So
Mm,
it was an embarrassment, and credit Mo for at least making moves. And Sonny Gray, I think that's obviously the headliner one, and I
mm,
think for anybody who's not maybe not sold on it or just not as familiar, just go back to when Gray was with the Reds,
mhm.
and the Cardinals be playing the Reds. Oh, who's pitching? Well, the Reds are pitching Gray. Ah, crap. That was how Cardinals fans would react, and
Yeah.
that's all you need to know. It's a great pickup, and it's part of what you need. You touched on with the playoffs, you need two guys
Mhm,
with the new wild card round.
mhm.
You saw it with the Cardinals against the Phillies a couple years back. It's one guy even makes a
Mhm.
difference, but you need to have two. That's
Yeah.
just what the game has become if you want to advance out of the wild card round.
And the format is so interesting because you saw this year the Arizona Diamondbacks who won 84 games and got in and got to the World Series. And so the format does favor teams who can hit that 84 to 90 win threshold. And I think that's important because there are other teams in the National League Central that are starting to build up. And I do think finally the division is rising to a little bit more prominence and a little bit more competitiveness, which is great. But in general, the Cardinals don't need to do that much more. They have the pieces there. I think, to be honest, sometimes you fall flat and sometimes you crash and burn. And it's part of it. And maybe that makes you better and maybe that makes you more motivated to really take a closer look at what are some of the real issues that we have. And it was pretty obvious, I think, to everybody, but I also think the personalities and the minds of the three pitchers in particular, Lynn, Gibson, and Gray, these are really good dudes. And that is going to add that's so valuable in so many different ways. It's intangible, right? You can't put a number on that. They're not getting paid to be good guys, but that's going to make a difference in that clubhouse. And I think that that's going to show the team Mo going out and doing this. All right, we mean business. Like we're not looking to reorganize this year. We're not looking to rebuild. We're looking to compete after having one of our worst seasons in a really long time. And so, yeah, exactly to your point, what you're saying is that maybe there's a little bit more to go. The moves now that have been made, those are good moves. Those are quality moves. For me, I need one more starter. I would love to see that one top of the line guy. Like Miles Michaelis is in this rotation too. Don't forget, he is a part of it as well. He's probably looking to have a bounce back season. There's no doubt about that. But ultimately what he's done so far I think is going to be good. And with the playoff format, if you can have two guys, you can get through that wild card round and then hopefully that can reset your rotation. We saw that a lot. I mean, listen, you saw the Marlins get in, right? They haven't been in for a from a full season postseason. I think it was 20 years, right? They got in the 2020 shortened season, but it had been 2 decades since they were in. So the Marlins got in, right? The Reds are knocking on the door. The Cubs are going to be better this year. The Pirates are going to be better this year. The National League Central is about to get really good, and it only takes a couple of moves. You don't have to do that much, but if you don't do anything, if you sit, then I think that's really when it becomes an issue. So the aggressiveness is welcomed right now.
Yeah, and now you mentioned the possibility of one more starter for the Cardinals. the top name out there, of course, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, coming over from Japan. The Cardinals have, been mentioned. Your colleague Andy Martino of SNY said that the Cardinals were strongly linked.
Yeah.
Is that one, in your opinion, where it's just kind of, well, they've been mentioned, they've kind of talked, and just kind of kick the tires on that, see what happens, or are they really involved? I mean,
Mm,
to me, it seems like it's, well, is it the Giants or is it a New York team? Am I
mm.
wrong?
I think that what's hard is the Cardinals are working in a medium-sized market, right?
Yeah.
And the Bally Sports under Diamond Sports, the bankruptcy is a major issue for a lot of teams. And so not only are they in a medium market, but they're working with potentially a television deal that they're unsure of how much can gross from that. And so then you're comparing to the New York teams. We know Steve Cohen owns the Mets and is like a top 20 richest person in the world, I think. I believe I read that the other day, something along those lines. And then you have the Yankees, right, who have a storied history. They have a history with Japanese pitchers. They are the franchise, right? They are a team that is globally known and loved. And so you're competing with that. Any team could use Yamamoto. This is a kid, he's 25 years old. And so, what's exciting and enticing about him is that you could potentially have him for a long time. He's already achieved everything you possibly can in the sport at 25 years old. He's won 3 Sawamura Awards, which is the equivalent to the Cy Young Award. He's won a gold medal. He won the WBC earlier this year in March. He won the Japan series, right, which is the overall series there for the MPB. He has absolutely done all the Triple Crown. I mean, it's incredible. And the numbers are there to back it up. It's not a fluke. It's not because the league is weak. It's because he is a top tier pitcher at 25. And so what you're watching right now is, well, people said, okay, maybe it'll be 200 million. Well, now maybe it'll be 250 million. Now maybe it'll be 300 million. I don't know how comfortable that makes the Cardinals giving out a contract to a 25-year-old for $300 million. I don't know. I don't know if that's in the comfort zone, but I do think what's important is that they're potentially linked to him. Andy Martino is one of the best, and his reporting is so phenomenal. But what's important is that hopefully they had a Zoom, hopefully they had a conversation. I know the Yankees went and met with him. I know that the Mets flew to Japan to meet his family and to see him. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about what the Cardinals have done or how serious this is on my end, but I will say that this would change the franchise in a lot of different ways. And I would wonder, Lars Nootbaar just played for Team Japan in the World Baseball Classic. I wonder if Lars was able to say anything about it. I think that would be really interesting to find out. I just saw him. He was in an article for the Players Tribune talking about Shohei Ohtani, right? His countrymen and now his, I don't know, what would you call it? Would you say they're rivals, the Dodgers and the Cardinals? I don't know. But either way, this would be game changing, but it's not the end of the world if they don't get Yamamoto. I think the odds of him going to New York, whether it's the Mets or the Yankees, is really, really good. But I think if they miss out, there's still some really top tier guys. And there's also guys on the trade market, right? Dylan Cease and Tyler Glasnow are two names that are really, really hot right now. Tyler Glasnow, I know him. I know him well. I'm a huge fan of his. Dylan Cease has 2 years of control, so that's a pretty big deal. And the Cardinals have a good farm system. So are they willing to trade some pieces? Would they like to spend some money on the free agent market? Kind of depends, right? Where do they feel most comfortable?
Yeah, and a trade for one of those guys might be a little bit more complicated because Tyler O'Neill is now no longer with the club.
Mhm.
He could have potentially been a piece
Mhm.
along with some other guys, but he is now with the Red Sox. Cardinals got was it Robertson?
Mhm.
Thought to gonna have a shot at least in the bullpen. I think they're hoping that he's good to go there, and then Victor Santos. Still developing. I I think Cardinals fans maybe were hoping to get a little bit more, but also had grown frustrated with the injury history and the fact that while he showed it, the potential for 1 year in 2021, he never could do it consistently. So I think Cardinals fans were just kind of happy to see him gone. What are your thoughts on that deal?
I mean, it was a logjam, right? There was a logjam in the outfield, and I think what players appreciate is honesty. And John Mozeliak said, "I don't know how many at bats we're going to be able to get him." And so ultimately, he is a trade chip, and it is a business. So the Red Sox go and get some help. I do think that the power could play there at Fenway, so that's great for him. Obviously, you want to see him succeed, but I think what's more important is what the Cardinals get back. And while it's not the sexiest names, I do
Right.
think that there's some upside to it, right? Santos is, I think he'll head to the minors, but for Nick Robertson, he played for two teams last year. His strikeouts per nine are really good, so there's some upside in that department. And the bullpen for the Cardinals was a bottom six. I think they were the sixth worst bullpen in the league. And so for him to come over, I think that he is prized. I do think that he was the biggest part of the trade. He's the bigger name, obviously, with getting experience with Boston. And I think it was the Dodgers last year too. So this is a big deal, and I think they need bullpen help. They need depth. They need pieces, and they need guys. Jordan Hicks isn't there. We don't know where Jordan Hicks is going to end up, right? They weren't able to figure out the extension with him. There's probably still a chance that those conversations are ongoing, but he ended up getting traded because they couldn't work it out. And so there's a question mark when it comes to that, and they've really got to solidify some major parts. And so this is a start. The depth is there. That is so important. Guys are going to get hurt. Arm injuries, we saw a lot of them last year. So many arm injuries. So depth is key for this team, but ultimately it's just about building the right guys and bringing in guys who can get some swing and miss. That's what the Cardinals need.
Yeah, my big thing with the bullpen is that they're going to be better because one, it's hard to be worse than they were last year, and secondly, going back to the starters that the Cardinals signed, you're talking about
Yeah.
innings eaters. Well, that
Yeah.
was a big problem for the Cardinals. Is the bullpen was just so overtaxed. Like, all right, Jake Woodford just went 3 2/3, so now the bullpen's just got to carry the rest of the game, and then well, hopefully Michaelis can go more than five tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. And night after
Mhm.
night, they were just getting worked to death, and I think just having guys that you at least are going to expect
Mhm.
to go deeper into games, that's just going to be some relief for the bullpen. And I think that right there is going to make the bullpen better. Just the fact that they're not getting worked and they're able to get kind of the rest they need. But then also, yeah, I do agree that they need an arm. You know, Katie Wu, was it yesterday, had an article suggesting Jordan Hicks returning to the Cardinals not off the table.
Mhm.
I think that would be huge.
Yeah.
And then yeah, because you know I think the Cardinals went into the season feeling great about Gallegos and Helsley, and
Mhm.
then between Gallegos, at times he was just kind of a crapshoot in terms of what you were going to get, and
Mhm.
then yeah, and he wasn't always healthy, and then Helsley missing extended chunks of the season. Like you said, you have to plan for that. Yeah,
Well,
I
you nailed it because it is cause and effect. And
yeah,
when your starters can't go what you expect them to go, and night after night, you're taxing your bullpen, ultimately, it's going to lead to exactly what happened in St. Louis. And that's so frustrating, right? Because I do think that the staff was better than what they showed last year, but for some reason, this is how the chips fell. And so the bullpen was asked to do more. They were asked to muscle up and figure it out, and they were fatigued, and you could see that, and that led to everything else and all their struggles. And it goes back to, well, then that puts more pressure on the starting pitcher because they're probably concerned about their bullpen, and then that puts pressure on the offense because the offense isn't scoring enough to allow, right, a little relief to their starter or to their bullpen. And so it truly is all linked together. It's exactly what you said. And they really felt the effects of all of that, like, mightily last year. And it's so obvious, right, when you watch it. And so I don't know if the additions that have been made are the exact fix, but I do think that this is headed in such a great and optimistic direction that you've got to be a little excited about some of the changes. And they're bringing in Yadier Molina, right? Yadi will
Yeah,
come back and be a part of this team and a special assistant. I think it's to Mo. And so that
it is. Yeah.
is a game changer. Having Yachty back and having his voice in there, I do think is important. And ultimately, you've got some veteran guys in Gibby and Lynn and Gray, Sonny Gray especially. I think Sonny Gray will be the difference maker in this team, and I think that Sonny Gray could be back in the Cy Young conversation, if things work out well. I mean, what he posted this year, I think he was 8-8. ERA was like 2.7 something. Sonny Gray is exceptional, and I think that he will be the anchor for this team.
Yeah, I think when you look at all the additions, including Yachty coming back, in terms of the intangibles, the leadership and all that, I like the fact that there's a variety. For example,
Mm-hmm.
you got three different ways that I can think of off the top of my head. One, Yachty, the legend. You have that perspective, that
Mm-hmm.
brand of leadership. You have Lance Lynn, who is known to, on game day, he's got that kind of edge to him. And then you have Kyle Gibson, who is known as just a good dude. So you kind of have all the different types of leadership covered in terms of,
Mm-hmm.
well, this personality responds to this, but doesn't respond to this and whatever else. You have all your bases covered to a certain extent. So I do really like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I
I
think,
think it's the best kept secret in sports is that
yeah,
people underestimate the power of chemistry and the power of culture in the clubhouse. And you think that guys don't have to like each other to win. It's of the utmost importance, in my opinion. You could do it, but I don't think it works most of the time. You've got to have guys who genuinely like each other and want to play for each other and know that it's a team mentality, and that if you don't have it that day, the guy behind you is going to pick you up. And so I think that that's probably one of the most valuable aspects that you could have as a pro team.
oh, absolutely. It goes back to what we were just talking about, where when the starters, weren't able to go deep, and the bullpen's like, oh gosh, here we go again, and then it's affecting guys going to the plate. They're approaching. Well, I'll just try to get on base. No, there's a runner on. We're down two because the
Mhm.
bullpen has imploded again. I got to try to get extra bases or a home run or something, and it's impacting their approach to the plate, and it's just screwing up the entire approach to the game, and
Mm.
everybody's feeling more pressure because of performance, but also not believing in each other, just kind of knowing, well, here we go again.
Mhm.
And not, you don't have a clubhouse that's all rowing in the same direction.
Mhm.
The team's definitely taking steps to fix that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's I think that if you're a fan of this team and you endured last year, let's put it a little perspective. This team continues to be in the playoff conversation. I think probably for my entire lifetime and yours as well. And
Yeah.
they've won two since I've been alive, 2006 and 2011.
11. Yeah.
And that's more than a lot of people can say. And so to have a down year, while it is alarming and in St. Louis is often unheard of, I think that it's okay to have one year where you get humbled and you
Yeah.
maybe just get a little dose of reality, and then it causes your motors, I think, to really rev up. And I think it's fine. It happens. And in St. Louis we just don't see it often. And so it was shocking, and it felt like you jumped
Yeah.
in a cold tub maybe, but I think it's okay. And I think that what Mo has done, and what hopefully there's something left in the next 2 months or so, this hot stove season, that gets done. But let's be honest, this team is already better than they were last year.
Yeah. And I think that's what Cardinals fans have to take away is
Mm.
the team is better.
Mm-hmm.
Last season being a shock to the system of the organization and the fan base and everybody. Last place for the first time since 1990.
Mm.
Uh, I was what, three.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to have a motivation that maybe has been lacking. I think you're going to have, that work ethic in the offseason, that intensity of I need to bust my butt every single day, whether weight room, take fielding practice, whatever, because we can't do this again. We're the Cardinals. So I think there's going to be a lot of that, and it's going to pay off. And we'll see what happens. The upshot is that the team is going to be better than 71 and 91, the way it's currently constructed.
Yeah. Yeah. I think really the big question mark is it enough in the division? Is it enough to earn yourself the division title or a wild card spot? They've got to get the threshold we've seen that the past 2 years with the new format is 84, 83, 84. You're pushing it, but you can get in. We saw that right again with the Diamondbacks. So is it good enough for that? That's to be determined. Again, the Reds are making moves. The Cubs are making moves. The Pirates are making moves. Like this division is the Brewers, I think, are going to take a back seat for a minute, but they have been right in the thick of it. And so it's not like you're just laying down and the Cardinals are about to own it now because they made more moves than the rest of the division. That's not the case at all. The other teams are going to be more dangerous than people are anticipating. They have a lot of talent coming through and they're close. Those teams, the Pirates and the Reds, are closer than people think, and the Cubs are right there as well. So I do think that what the Cardinals have done is good, and it's to be determined, and we'll wait and see. But one more starting pitcher with firepower, I feel like would really be that would be the cherry on top. But I'm not sure that that's in the game plan.
Well, yeah, you have a rotation where I believe Steven Matz is the youngest guy of the projected starters today as we're filming, and he's 32. I think he's going to turn 33. I looked this up. He's going to turn 33 around Memorial Day, I believe. That's off the top of my head. I could be wrong, but you get the point.
You're probably right.
That's dangerous in terms of health.
It depends. It's the track record. Lance Lynn has maybe dealt with some things, but Sonny Gray's been a workhorse. Kyle Gibson as well, and Miles Michaelis. So it depends. I think that health is important. The age is a little questionable. It's not quite like what the Mets did with Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander.
Right.
But I do think I said I preferred to at least get a starter that's got a 2 in front of his age. Just one. I think that would be important. But you can't, the thing about baseball that's so funny is that you think you have it figured out and you don't. And you think that you have a rotation where the average age maybe is 33 and that's going to hurt you. But ultimately, we don't really know. We have no idea what's going to happen. These guys could carry the team and could, Lance Lynn could be your NLDS game 1 starter. You don't know exactly. You can kind of anticipate and predict, but you really don't know. And what I think is important more than anything is that they're veteran guys who have good stuff and can eat innings, and then let Sonny Gray and Miles Michaelis do the other kind of work that's important. And not for nothing, Kyle Gibson is a really good pitcher. Like Kyle Gibson is still really good. So I am excited to see him join the staff and have a chance to be back in Missouri.
Yeah, I think everybody saw his age and was like, what? And maybe you remembered when he gave up the 4 straight homers to the Cardinals a couple of years ago. And why are we signing this dude? Yeah. And then like a day or two after, they actually dug into his stats and there was more enthusiasm. That's what I sensed on social media, at least.
We're always so quick, right? We're very quick, but I'm digging the rotation. I'm into it.
Yeah, it's better than it was, guys. That's what you can take away from it for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, we're running out of time. I'm about to have to go run around, chase my 5 and 3-year-old around here. Dani Wexelman, thank you very much for stopping by to talk Cardinal baseball with us.
Hell yeah, Eric. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Excited for the season, man. Enjoy the rest of your off season.
Hey, thank you. Keep up the good work. You can find Dani Wexelman, MLB Network Radio, SNY if you're in New York, and hey, check her out, College Baseball, ESPN. And also, thank you guys for checking out this video. Keep tuned here to Under the Arch Sports for everything in the world of St. Louis sports. Cardinals, Blues, Mizzou. And then, hey, soccer and Battlehawks, not too far away. See you guys next time.